Welcome back to the bulletin. Let's go straight to our stories tonight. And the budget that businesses set aside for the payment of utility tariffs will remain unchanged at least for the next 5 months. That's if they stick to the consumption level, the same consumption levels. Now, this after the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission decided to keep tariffs unchanged until July this year. But what would this mean for firms looking at the cost of doing business in the country? George Rafe has more.
Of money businesses spend on power consumed have always been one of their biggest expenditure items on their budget, depending on their consumption levels. Some firms have even been forced to downsize their operations in order to still stay in business. But the next 5 months could come as a big relief to businesses. This is because any profit that they would be making in the coming months, which would have been channeled to pay these tariffs, could be directed to other areas, like reinvesting in the business or carry out some expansion or deal with other related costs. The Public Utilities Regulatory Commission argues that it had to defer this review because some factors that would impact on these tariff appraisals are still being assessed. But as businesses celebrate this move, can we say that it could cripple some of the utility companies that were pushing for increases in tariff levels? Well, the Executive Secretary of the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, Amit Dufie, insists the decision would not spell doom for the sector. What about those who might say that businesses should hold on to their celebrations for now because there is the likelihood that utility tariffs could be going up in July? Well, let's wait and see. As some would always say, the time will tell.
And of course, you're aware, I'm sure by now, that Power Distribution Services Company has officially been given the license to take over the operations of ECG. But what new thing will this company bring on board? That's a question my colleague George Rafe posed to Fred Asimene, who speaks for the Power Distribution Services Company.
Ask you, finally, this marriage has been consummated, as was said here. What are you bringing on board?
Well, we're bringing on board, first of all, a lot of investment to transform the electric distribution utility in Ghana. Secondly, we're also bringing a lot of expertise. Our technical partner, Meralco, as you're aware, has been in this industry for 115 years. So they're bringing a lot of expertise. Thirdly, we hope to greatly improve the level of customer service and efficiency and collection rates in the electric distribution utility in the Southern Distribution Zone of Ghana.
What does your whole contract entails? I heard you've been presented with a bulk license, this license. I was confused. Per your contract, what are you going to do? Is it a management contract, or what are you going to do, PDS?
Well, our relationship with ECG and the government of Ghana in respect of this transaction is not a takeover. We're not taking over the Electricity Corporation or Electricity Company of Ghana. We're rather leasing its assets for a period of 20 years. And in return for leasing those assets, we'll be making payments to the government of Ghana in the form of a lease payment. But our prime mover in terms of this transaction is to change the performance culture in the distribution utility so that it will inure to the benefit of all Ghanaians and ensure a more efficient distribution of electricity in Ghana.
You've seen us having the financial muscle as we speak right now. Have you made the necessary financial commitment to aid this takeover that we have?
Yes, we have. The minimum investment contribution that we are required to make under the transaction agreement is $500 million US dollars over a period of 5 years. But we've even committed to government to make investments in excess of that, because we do recognize that the distribution utility has been running for a long time, and the amount of investment required to turn it around is actually in excess of $2 billion. So although our commitment in terms of the transaction agreements is $580 million, we are committed to put in far more money than that to ensure a turnaround of the fortunes of the distribution utility.
Behind the scenes, what we were hearing was about certain commitment from the other sector regulators in terms of guaranteeing certain utility tariff levels. As we speak today, the PRC has issued a statement saying that the levels will be kept the same. Are you okay with that, or you would have wished that the levels was reviewed to actually help you with the investment you're bringing on board?
Well, we made our tariff submissions to the PURC, or the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission. Now, prior to our submission, we had also given a very clear indication when we submitted our documents as part of the bid process in terms of the requirements, our annual revenue requirements, and the level of tariff that we thought would enable us run this utility efficiently. Those proposals are with the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, and as soon as they make a final determination, we'll be happy to work with it.
They have actually announced this morning that the tariff levels are not going to be changed, and they're going to be stick the same until July that they review the levels. Are you okay with that?
Well, it seems to us they don't have the full suite of information that they require to make the full determination of tariffs, because as you can imagine, part of the variables that PURC needs to make a tariff determination, there are other factors that are required which has to come from government, and those have not come. But because we are very confident, because we are very, very confident that we can work with Ghana and turn around the utility, we're happy in the interim to support the announcement made by the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission this morning, as you tell me.
One would say that for you as a private firm, these levels are critical in securing funding to carry out your operations. Now that it hadn't gone your way and your extrapolations and the projections that you've done, wouldn't that be a problem for you?
Well, I'm not sure about your speculation that it hasn't gone our way. I mean, we are business people. We are very innovative. We are very creative. The key thing is we want to make a commitment to the people of Ghana that no matter what the circumstances, we'll be able to use our creativity, innovation, experience to meet the targets that we have been set. The bottom line really is to transform the customer experience in this country and create a utility that is very effective in terms of reliability and availability of supply of electricity.
Let's turn to other news now. Government is looking forward to uninterrupted trade with the UK, with 29 days left for the country to exit the European Union following the controversial Brexit referendum. This was announced by the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, when he returned to Ghana after a 4-day working visit to the UK. Dr. Bawumia successfully secured some loan facilities to help finance 3 major projects, including the Tamale Airport. Addressing a press conference at the Jubilee Lounge of the Kotoka International Airport Wednesday night, Dr. Bawumia said the administration is hopeful of a sustained trade cooperation post-Brexit.
Advantage to discuss the trade relations between Ghana and the UK post-Brexit. We needed to anticipate Brexit and how it would mean in terms of our trading relationship. Currently, we are operating under the Economic Partnership Agreement under the EU. But if we have a hard Brexit, we will have to think about a new area of cooperation. And we had fruitful discussions on that area between our team and theirs, and we are going to take those discussions forward as their situation also evolves. But we expect that whatever we are going to put in place by March 29th would be sufficient not to disrupt any trade between Ghana and the UK post-Brexit. It's very important for both of our countries that there is no disruption in trade.
So that was the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, when he returned from the UK, where he has been speaking to some UK government officials. Let's turn to one of our top stories tonight. And the Dubai Business Chamber in Ghana has expressed commitment to assist local players in the local textile and apparel industry to tap into Dubai's garments market. Now, according to the head of the Dubai Chamber in Accra, Cyril Dakwa, the move is to help the local textile manufacturers explore alternative markets for profits in a wake of challenges facing the industry locally. He spoke to Joy Business at a round-table meeting in Accra for stakeholders in the textiles and apparel industry.
Although Ghana has a huge potential in the textile industry, about 70% of textiles located on the market are imported. The influx of cheap smuggled fabrics has led to the collapse of many textile manufacturing companies, with the remaining few struggling to survive. But speaking to Joy Business, head of the Dubai Chamber, Cyril Dakwa, said there's a $4 billion textile market in Dubai that Ghanaian players can explore to enhance their profitability.
Dubai Textile City, for example, is one free zones enclave in Dubai, which is basically a $4 billion market with a reach of about 1.5 billion customers. Now, this enclave is one opportunity which local manufacturers like GTP, Consumer Textiles can actually take advantage of, because it welcomes companies, manufacturers and traders from all over the world, different nationalities, lots of incentives such as 100% repatriation of profits, no income tax, no VAT, so long as the goods are sold in the enclave. There's been lots of talk about pirated products coming in, which is killing the local industry. And now I'm expecting some of the local companies to be proactive as well, to take advantage of some of these markets, because this market is there for the taking. And what we will be doing as a chamber is facilitating this process.
Cyril Dakwa was speaking at a roundtable stakeholders meeting for textile and fashion retail industry players. On his part, the head of marketing at GTP, Stephen Badu, explained that the right structures will be needed to encourage exports of locally manufactured textiles.
For a very long time, our business has been set up to serve the local market, and that has gone on for a very long time, and that's the truth. But we're changing. So, for you to be able to operate and take advantage of the global market, you need to go digital. You need to have a lot of systems changing, which we are changing, but gradually. We are not changing as fast as we should. And so because of that, we've not been able to take advantage of the market out there. But as I said, we recognize these opportunities, and we are putting a system in place to take advantage of the global market, particularly the diaspora market, especially the USA.
Similarly, the president of the apparel manufacturers, Gregory Kanko, said governments must make a conscious effort to develop the apparel sector to help maximize gains.
For Ghana as a country, it's an area we should look at very strategically. We can't play lip service. Like I said earlier on, usually we start getting there, then we drop off again, because it's an industry that needs a lot of attention. It's highly capital and labor intensive. Rates of investment returns are high, but it needs a lot of attention because it's multifaceted.
For Joy Business, Sheila Tamaklu.
A council member of the Ghana Institute of Architects, Tony Asari, is urging a more scientific approach to addressing the housing challenge in the country. He notes that government's policy over the years has concentrated on home ownership and says it's time to reverse the trend. He has been speaking to Joy Business on measures to deal with the housing deficit in Ghana. Alberta Bisio has more in this report.
Ghana is said to have a housing deficit in excess of 1.7 million housing units and is still mounting. There have been several efforts by successive governments to address the housing situation. However, statistics indicate that a minimum of about 85,000 housing units must be constructed annually to address the housing deficit over the next 20 years. According to a council member of the Ghana Institute of Architects, Tony Asari, the housing deficit should be tackled scientifically in order to meet the housing need.
We keep growing at about 2.3% per annum, and so by the end of 2019, if we were at 2 million housing deficit, then we are going to add another 2.3%. That's another 46,000 housing deficit if we are not reducing the deficit. But we need a very scientific assessment of the kind of housing that makes up this 2 million housing units. How much of it is public sector housing that is needed? How much of it is housing for low-income earners? How much of it is for middle income? How much of it is for old people? How much of it is for young people, young families? We don't have a very scientific way of tackling it. So the moment maybe you get people coming to, maybe governments coming to say that, okay, there is a housing deficit. So how do we approach it? We say, okay, we are going to build 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom houses. That is a very unscientific way of approaching the housing deficit.
He urged government to implement policies that will make funds available for individuals to enable them pursue their own projects.
If we decide that we want to have a lot more housing, what aspects? So, for instance, we have a lot of uncompleted buildings. If the government decides today that we are going to come up with a policy that says that if you have an uncompleted building and it falls within a certain range, maybe total floor area or a certain size or the ability for you to be able to rent it, we can find ways of providing cheap funding such a way that you can access those funds to be able to finish uncompleted structures, so that they can all become available to the public.
Tony Asari also commented on a cedi depreciation as a contributing factor to the housing deficit.
A lot of the buildings towards finishing is imported. A lot of the materials that these suppliers put on the market are mostly imported, which is directly affected by taxes, import duty, and especially the exchange rate. Generally, that would affect the delivery of housing on the market because the capacity to buy or to import then diminishes.
Government has indicated plans to pursue other housing projects. For Joy Business, Alberta Bisiu reporting.
And you're watching Business Live here on JoyNews. About 60 viable but struggling businesses in both the private and public sector have received financial and technical support as part of stimulus packages under the National Industrial Revitalization Program. According to Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Carlos Ahenkra, the program hopes to bring more businesses on board by the end of the year. Eben Sabote has more in this report.
Industrial Revitalization Program is an initiative by the government to revive struggling businesses with the potential to expand if given the support. Some sectors that benefited from the program include manufacturing, agribusiness, textile, among other sectors. Speaking with Joy Business after addressing a power breakfast meeting hosted by the Ghana South African Business Chamber, Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry Carlos Ahenkra assured that besides the 60 companies that receive support, government will also support other small industries that need some intervention.
We had 85 companies on stream. After going through the technical analysis and, of course, consultants looking it through their books, about 60 of them today, I would say, are comfortably okay with some little support from government. I can point my hands early to the textile industries, where Kosovo industry, it's now back on stream and producing, the Voltastar company and other companies. We are not going to relent in our efforts to get this economically viable by distressed companies back on stream or back on track. We are going to do everything possible under our capacity as a government to support, as it were, some of these companies which need just little a push to bring them back onto stream.
President of the South Africa Business Chamber, Ashley Ricks, believes various industrial reforms introduced by the government will yield positive outcomes.
We have sort of seen in the last, say, like 12 months, business is picking up. Before that, there was a lot of fiscal consolidation and a lack of sort of or less government spending side, which obviously trickles down to the private sector and to the private businesses. So they feel it on their pocket. I think Yofi Grant alluded to that today as well, where he said, there's still this people complaining there's not enough money in the system. He says, well, there's still the same amount of money. You just got to work a bit harder for it now, which I think is very, very true, and that's a very good perception that our members have as well. But as far as 2019 goes, we are looking positive. Ghana's still got a tremendous growth. It's still a tremendous destination for foreigners to come and do business.
The meeting was aimed at helping members of the chamber to take advantage of the good business outlook for 2019.
Well, finally tonight, the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations has launched their Opportunity Industrialization Center in Cape Coast. The center is expected to train the youth to acquire skills that would enable them earn a decent living. Speaking at the launch, Deputy Minister of Education in charge of TVET, that is Barbara Asha AC, she told the youth it would be a crime to sit unconcerned without looking at opportunities government is providing. Richard Koyonyako has more.
Industrialization Center comes as a ray of hope to many who have wandered around searching for jobs in Cape Coast. Such an opportunity, according to the ministry, is to help those who complain there are no jobs to get themselves employed with the support of the ministry. Deputy Education Minister in charge of TVET, Barbara Asha AC, wants the youth to start something on their own in order to get the support from government. She says it's odd in the midst of the opportunities government is creating for any youth to sit idle and complain of unemployment.
This program is to create the awareness that if you do not have BC, if you do not have SSC, like what you never wrote the WASI, you never wrote the BC. If you do not have a degree, you need to get a skill. And even if you have all the doctorate, PhD, you have your degree in the master's, you can still acquire a skill. You get up and you have to loiter about, not doing anything at all. For me, it is a crime. Because with a little capital, maybe 200 Ghana cedis or 500 Ghana cedis, I don't understand why you can't start something on your own. And they all agree with me that to be in the house doing absolutely nothing is a crime. And when governments come, we create the enabling environment for them.
Executive Director of the Opportunity Industrialization Center, Samuel Debra, is optimistic the narrative about unemployment would change if the youth avail themselves of opportunities such as these.
We are expecting that once we provide them with the skills training, they will be able to get some employment and then they will generate income to improve on their livelihoods. For Cape Coast, we are looking at 100 youths, 100 of them, and we are looking at 60% females and 40% males. So we have masonry, general electrical, styling, steel bending, draftsmanship, hair braiding, hairdressing, and hair braiding.
The duration for the training ranges between 10 and 16 months, after which graduates from the program would be supported to start up their own businesses. Richard Kwejenyako, Joy News, Cape Coast.
We're wrapping up on this note. Thanks for watching Business Live. More news on our website, joybusinessnews.com. My name is Darryl Kwao. Stay tuned.